literally just like sitting on the main in, like battlefield. Um, I like
Oops.
literally just watching the main map and saying, "Oh, I see, troops are going here," and then like try to predict the battlefield and
Right.
kind of basically just be, I guess, reactive and try to be as good a strategist. Now, I mean, with puppy lobbies, that's damn near impossible getting people to agree because it's like politics.
I'm
But
sorry, what?
what? Getting puppies, just random private solo or private queuers.
Ah,
Just like, yeah,
random.
just like, yeah, randos. Trying to get randos to do what you want is very very hard. But there's a old game back in the day called Planet Side 2. It was much easier to kind of herd cats around the map because the how the game was set up was just super easy. But like doing strategies and gambits and all that stuff was super rewarding, and yet you're still learning stuff. You're learning what people are doing. But I guess in regards of what you're doing tactically, and also you're learning cooperation, teamwork, and with a bunch of other people that are leading other platoons and other squads. So like if you just go into a Call of Duty lobby, you're not fucking learning a whole lot. Like you're probably learning more if you play Overwatch, because like you have to be like aware. You're definitely learning
Right.
synergies and teamwork more than playing Call of Duty. Because like I played Call of Duty for years.
Okay,
Did that make me
I
learn anything? No,
I
really.
have a
What's up?
better game than that. Hell Let Loose.
How Let Loose is also a very good tactics game. I would say Squad and what is that other Vietnam game? The Vietnam
Well,
Battle Simulator.
the reason why I say Hell Let Loose is you not only have to pay attention, the enemies don't get little red markers above their head. You have to pay attention to the environment, the colors, movement. It
See, I
doesn't
like playing
show you
games
where the
where you
enemy
get
is.
those markers because I'm stupid.
It's very analog. You have to guess whether you actually put that enemy down or not. I like it so much more than Call of Duty or Battlefield or any of that, just because
I,
it's
I like I like Squad because I definitely like Desert Storm a whole lot.
Yeah,
Squad is
anything that you
good.
have to team up with is best, I think.
I like Squad for the fact of um
You like the Star Wars ones. I'll admit
yes,
you like the Star Wars ones.
yes, I'm not gonna lie, but also when you have a teammate who goes down, the fact that you can drag them around the corner, well, unlike the other games, you could drag them around the corner and revive them. It's just more realistic.
Yeah, yeah. Rather than just with Battlefield, you have like a little defib or a little syringe full of morphine.
Yeah, I enjoy it a little more.
But anyway, like with one kind of thing I like to do is kind of like do both. Like I also do both of like physical like fitness with my video games. So like do good with video game, no push-ups. Do bad in video game, push-ups required. Or even just like doing a couple exercises when you're queuing up to play another match, like squats or push-ups or burpees or something. It'll definitely adds up in the long run. Plus, you got a good 15, 20, 30 minutes worth of rest period.
But I'll like shut it. I know what you're gonna say.
But do you know what I was gonna say?
You're about to tell me I need to do that on Elden Ring. No.
No,
Yeah,
I thought if I did that playing, that's also why I don't play Crucible anymore.
and that's also a very very quick way to ruin your favorite video games. So like
Yeah.
for me, I I I like to play like Helldivers in the finals, right? I literally just I just do something while I'm waiting to queue. Or like if I'm waiting for other people, like go downstairs, get water, do exercise, come back, and they're still not ready most of the time.
That's why I have like 3 windows.
I don't play Fortnite.
I do every now and then. Partially just because they have the Mandalorian customized armor. The only reason why. And I have freaking Kanaya to thank for that.
Well, let's be real. You can get that mod for pretty much anything now.
Yes, you can. Also, Fortnite is not a real game. It is baby's first game. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised. I agree, but unlike Fortnite, I've actually had a draw to Minecraft for its simplicity. Just as a relaxing game to listen to podcasts too.
I'm sorry, I can play a game that has like 1080p graphics. Why would I go back to playing 1990 GoldenEye?
Look, see,
Besides
That
for
could
the
be said for Tetris, though.
if we're talking about relaxing games,
heart is very broken right now.
if we're talking about relaxing games that I just do other things while I'm mindlessly playing it, that is SnowRunners or Roadcraft for me. Because it's just driving simulator.
Well, yeah, that's fair. I guess like for me, it's like if I'm like I have shit sometimes I just have to wait on, and so like I get downtime to guess what do other shit like exercise. Just do that while I'm waiting.
I don't exercise as much as I probably should, but work is very exhausting. Hey, it's a dirge.
Hey, Dirge.
Hello.
The guy.
You know who I miss having in here?
So,
Yeah, he always keeps us on track.
That's fair. Well, I mean, we're technically on track.
I mean, okay, you are doing a good job of that, though.
You're welcome.
how about Helm if he ain't talking to me?
No. Anyway, like, in like what's funny is if you do want so like if you do physical exercise, like whether it be at the gym, at home, yada yada yada, if you do enough of it, you may be in a mental slump, but like it sharpens your mind to where it kind of recovers. And then the same kind of thing, like if you're not really great, mental wise, eventually once you start, doing therapy, doing meds, whatever you have to do, to positively take care of your mental health in other aspects, you'll actually get physically driven to like be active in some form or fashion. So it's truly one of those things where it's like where your mind goes, your body follows. So if your mind is in disarray, your body will be in disarray. But if your mind is sharp and healthy, your body will be sharp and healthy. And so
I think you have to kind of get both of those into balance, because if one's off, if like we're really good at one of them, then the other one might be suffering. So finding a balance between those is the sweet spot.
Well,
Right.
yeah. It's one of those. It's like okay, so I don't know how many people are musically gifted, but it's like tuning a guitar. Eventually, you'll be tuning that same guitar so many times to where you'll have to tune that guitar less and less because the strings will remember and have like a little memory of where you keep on tuning it to.
Right.
Or better, you can do it without the use of the tuner yourself because you've done it so many times.
Exactly right. And so yeah, it just naturally happens.
There's that balance you're looking for. Because if you tune too much with the same wires, like this, they snap. Eventually, fatigue can snap. And if you leave too much tension on when you put them away, they stretch out. Right? So it's that balance you're all talking about.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
yeah.
why we don't store magazines fully loaded.
What are you talking about? I do that all the time.
Okay,
Yes,
I'm gonna bring up. So I hear this argument a lot. I want to hear mags kept unloaded or loaded. And why?
Let's get
Rotate
let's get back on track. Like I'm definitely gonna have this conversation in the after party, but not right
After party.
No, not quite yet. We just started.
Oh,
now.
Someone's got to keep you on track, right?
Yeah.
Well, you
But
mentioned
yeah,
one of you guys mentioned Minecraft earlier, and that was one of the
Yeah.
games that I got into because of the procedural aspect. It makes you think about what you're doing. And there's another game out there called Space Engineers, which is basically like Minecraft for software.
Yes.
yeah, that's
Yeah, you just got Candle's attention on that.
Have you tried Space Engineers 2 yet?
I haven't touched it yet. No.
It's not anything like Space Engineers 1 yet, but what I love about it is there's no small grid and large grid. It's all one grid.
Oh, thank Jeebus.
They made building easier,
Spirits.
but they haven't implemented everything in yet because it's still very early access.
It's still in beta, so to
I
speak.
had the original in beta, so I've been with it for a while.
I'm so looking forward to be fully out. I haven't played it in a while, but
I haven't either, but the reason I enjoyed it is because when you build a ship in it or whatever, you've got to build out the infrastructure for everything to work.
yeah. Like your hydrogen engines have to be connected to hydrogen tank, which has to be connected to an H2O2 generator, which has to be connected to a storage.
We've gone off topic again.
Well, technically no, because it's still kind of mental training.
Yeah.
You have to. That's
You have to.
working on human here for acid farming, because you have to make
Yes.
sure that you got the pumps bringing in the right material. You have to make sure that the motor pump is situated above the water pump, but below your filter or IBC storage toad.
It's all mental
You have to
games.
make sure the storage toad is situated above your filters.
It is kind of like, so yes, it is a part of the podcast topic, but it's too in the weeds. It's not general enough.
Yeah.
Well,
It's like I could bring up, a bunch of mods for Minecraft. Like I could bring up Technic, but it's too in the weeds.
well, in defense of Space Engineers, it is one of those you have to quite literally map out your ship around the infrastructure first. Because if all these things are not connected, it won't run.
Factorio,
Yes.
Factory, freaking Ender IO for Minecraft, freaking Technic, freaking pretty much every single mod in Feed the Beast. But like, yeah, no, I get it. Like, you have to think out and plan, and that is good. But I mean, again, too in the weeds. Like, I get it, the amount of planning involved. It basically, so
It's
what?
on topic, but it's out on the outskirts.
So specifically, the value of Space Engineers is that you have to not necessarily plan for a structure like Minecraft. You have to plan for, so like when you build a house, you have the frame. Well, that's once you're done with the frame, you're not done. You still have to put in the power, the plumbing, you have to make the inside look nice, so which, and then just like the outside, the utility, the utilities as far as the outside goes, connecting to the grid and this and that. So like there's a lot of things that you have to keep kind of a function of. So with Space Marines, you have like power, and then distributing that power, shields for weapons, life support, yada yada, so on and so forth. So I mean, it's like it's not bad. games like that in definitely Satisfactory is very much like, oh hey, I want to do X. Well, I have to plan for X. Where I want, where am I going to put it? What, after it's put in place, what are the egress, the egress points? What are, what's this, what's that? And so it's training, basically training the mind to to take a large task and break it up into very well thought out steps.
Right.
Yeah,
And so
100%.
and that, so like, say like if a 13-year-old kid were to play space engineers or Satisfactory, you could say, oh hey, I'm about to graduate, graduate high school in a couple of years. I need to transition from graduating high school into getting into college, and so they can just automatically, because they play engineer so much, you quite literally just like, oh, I need to do this and you do that. So you start like delegating the common goal into different tasks, and so you're not as overwhelmed. Because when you get seemingly overwhelmed with whatever task, you tend to procrastinate it or put it off because it's so daunting. But the ability to plan and to make smaller and smaller tasks that amount to, a bigger overarching goal is important. And
That's a
so,
skill in itself, being
and
able to break
yes,
down the larger chunks.
right, breaking down into, larger chunks into smaller bite-sized goals is very important for mental health. I know of tons of kids still in high school that I mentor that they're just so overwhelmed with everything, because like 21st century, the society now with the internet being so integrated into youngsters' lives is more pathological than otherwise should be, and that leads to stress and otherwise mental illness due to that stress. And so one thing that I pretty much preach on is literally having a goal, even if it's stupid. Like, it is, if you can achieve stupid goals, you can achieve serious goals. And even though it may be a serious goal when you're, 15, 14, 15, 16, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, if it's important to you then, well, what's stopping you from, when you're grown up, having, a real, aspiration or goal, whatever it
I
may
got a
be.
quote that worked for this.
What's that?
Simple. Do great things while they are small.
Yes.
That's a good one. Yeah. But you're right about, the goals from childhood and keeping them through to adulthood. I literally just achieved that with my new job. I grew up a sci-fi nerd, and now I'm working for one of the big rocket companies and helping to build their rockets.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That should be the goal for every day. Don't
So,
unlock.
so you move from
Except in
From-
my
you moved to Florida. So I'm gonna say NASA or adjacent to Pensacola. Cough, cough,
Neither,
military.
actually. You're in the right neighborhood. I'm down there in the Space Coast, but I'm working for a civilian company.
Space Coast, coast to coast.
Well, it's yes, Space Coast is literally all the think
It's
tanks
all
within
of
like,
it,
yeah, all the think tanks within like 50 miles of Kennedy Space Center.
Yep.
I know you guys were all saying Space Coast, but it kept coming across on Mike as Space Ghost.
Yes.
That's why I said coast to coast.
Ghost to ghost.
Hey, if it works, it works.
No, yep.
I will say this though, I am inadvertently learning German.
I'm very slowly learning German on purpose.
My brother is learning German, and I didn't
He's
realize
using-
why, but he has gone through and bought sticky notes, and then started putting sticky notes with the German word for everything, like door, door handle, window.
That's a good idea.
Just it and
So,
I,
like,
I see it as I'm walking through the house, going, okay. It's subconsciously in my mind now.
I've seen that done for college studying, for like exams, just have random bits of your material laying around.
It hasn't quite sunk in yet, but I see it every day, so it's eventually going to get there.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you know how to pronounce it. You just know the word.
Well,
And Germanic is very easy to pronounce.
yeah. Actually, German and English are a lot closer together than what people think.
Well, technically, English is of the main
It is a Germanic
of the
language.
Germanic language, yeah.
Yeah.
And Sultan, yes, that could work for Mondoa too.
Yeah. Honestly, you guys are giving me good ideas. Well, what is it? What is the adage?
Why did you have to say that? Now I have to get my own sticky notes to put the freaking Mandoa on everything.
Don't blame me.
It's
Oh,
yes,
fine.
on
My Twitch stream.
what is it? Is English is three languages in a trench coat passing themselves off as one language?
That sounds about right.
Just
That,
three?
English beats up other languages for their loose words and spare vocabulary.
And food.
No, spare grammar and loose vocabulary. That's what it is.
Yep. Right with the right.
And now we're
That
just
is
triple positives.
Yeah. I was like, wait.
I still say I love the German words though, because they have words for entire phrases like Schadenfreude.
Oh yeah.
If anyone who doesn't know what Schadenfreude, the literal translation is
that it just sounds angry all the time.
taken pleasure out of someone else's pain. That is what Schadenfreude is. They have a word.
Also known as
Oh, so
sadism.
every time I make you lose the game.
Shut the
Oh,
But even the
I'm going to unmute for this, you piece of shit.
That was a good one.
I mean, they brought it up by saying taking pleasure from other people's pain, and that's exactly what that is.
Can
you
we
guys
just
bring up the game
mute
every
him?
podcast, I swear.
It is literally every single podcast. I would know.
You just
No.
edit those bits out.
It is quite literally almost every single freaking day.
Well, that's on you.
No, that's on him.
No, it's on Gen X in general. And we apologize.
No, is that not? Is that
No,
not just
Gen
like-
Y, not Gen X.
So I'm just gonna blame physics.
Gen X Millennial were the ones that played it.
We're the ones that created it.
That's...
You guys just adopted the darkness. We were born in it.
Anyway, back on
Yeah, before
topic.
we go down the rabbit hole of puns and sayings,
Okay.
Before or back on topic. Before we get
Yeah.
any more tangential. It's like the quick and dirty basically for anything for anybody who could be possibly listening. And what I kind of like to do is quick and dirty. It takes literally 20 minutes a day. Is work up to within 2 minutes getting up 100 push-ups, 120 crunches, and holding a 5-minute plank. Literally, that's
so your mileage may vary.
No, you can work up to that, dude. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you get 10 push-ups, 3 crunches, and a 5-second plank. Like as long as you keep track of it, like you'll be. The human body likes it when numbers go up.
And this isn't the trend planking.
Yeah, this is like real fucking planking. You're not wearing your fucking yoga shit. You're not wearing fucking. You're not showing your ass to any camera, whatever. It's just a true holding form planking on your forearms.
Toes and elbows straight back as long as you can.
Yeah,
Not
and
randomly laying on a picnic table saying you're planking.
yeah, like a Pilates plank is what I'm referring to.
And you can level it up
They're
after
so
you
much
reach the
fun.
goal,
I
like
think one of my
start
favorite
wearing your body
exercises.
Or just raise your legs for a plank, putting more pressure on your shoulders and your arms.
Planks are awesome fun. You just let your mind go and you just go until you can't hold yourself up anymore. It's amazing.
I end up getting bored if I have to like do like any kind of calisthenic like planks. I still have to have like a podcast or
Yeah.
or a show. Yeah. Just
Something
make the
to
time
do
go.
while your body's just doing its thing. Yeah.
I just need to be entertained.
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong with that. I throw on music or like whatever, you know.
I end up tuning out music unless I'm positively like engaged. So like I, I listen to the unsubs podcast, and those guys are funny as hell, and that's kind of what gives me
Yeah.
incentive to listen in on what they're actually saying instead of just like tuning them out.
I still think we need to get the version of the superhero thing that they do.
What thing that they do? Oh, I know
Where
what
you
you're talking
pick your
about.
superhero power and they give you the
Nope. That's their idea. That's their idea. I wanna no part of it.
No, I think we need to have our own version of it. Not the same thing.
Fair enough.
I think I have it.
Nintendo.
I think I have it.
We've been going for about a half hour now.
I think I have it. I have my own version.
Uh-oh.
If you could be in the Star Wars universe, what would you? Okay. Hold on. Let me fully get this in my head.
I mean, we could just like if you're a bounty hunter, like what like what weapon would you have? But somebody like everybody else has to figure out like a side effect for it. Like every time you use X weapon or something happens.
Well, I was gonna say if you were in the Star Wars universe,
As if so, a mimic that is mimicked a corpse.
see, my whole thing was if you could be in Star Wars universe, what would you be?
We're talking about like Trayshore, Blaster,
But-
lightsaber.
Equipment. No, more equipment.
See, if you were in Star Wars, what would you be? We all would be the same thing. We'd all be Mandalorians, so we can't do that one.
I
mean,
like
you
the
don't know.
weapon idea, though.
I could be off the wall and shoot for Kata.
Okay. Oh, you know what? If you could be in Star Wars, obviously Mandalorian, what race would you be?
Han, aka human. I like my reality way too much.
Yeah, but even within Mandalorian culture, you got everybody has their different roles, different preferred weapons.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it beats the hell out of being a Twi'lek. Oh yeah, you're literally sold into slavery. Have fun.
Right.
But I mean, you'd be Mandalorian regardless.
They beat that and got out.
Yeah, I mean, and Gamorreans are in that particular field too, because big
Hey,
big
no
bulky
bother
bodyguards.
I am a Gamorrean.
Mandalorians are Italians. Changed my mind.
Coruscant.
Anybody who knows history will find a chuckle in that because Italians were used as slaves for time immemorial, and then they just
No, I was thinking mafia. We're all one big family.
no it's the Italians were just slaves. Well, for a large part of human history, they were slaves.
Well, you go by that now, you could say they're all Australians.
Those were convicts.
It-
Yeah,
Polycon had an idea, Chiss or Twilight, but I think I'd go Chiss.
I forget what
Would you- The helmets would be easier. That's for sure.
Chiss is an interesting option, but
Oh, okay.
I would have to stick with human type thing.
So
Well, see,
what?
at least with the Chiss, you have better vision. You're still humanoid. Yeah, you're blue, but you have better vision and way cooler looking outfits.
WD.
But that's what the helmet. The helmet helps with the vision, anyways.
Blue Man Crew.
Oh God.
Sold gone on my Twitch, Blue Man Crew.
Can one of you guys take care of that? Whoever's on my Twitch.
I'm not modded. I don't think.
I thought I gave you that option. If not, I can always fix that.
Yeah, sounds got it.
Trying to, but it's not letting me.
No, but I don't know. Like,
Doesn't look like they're in there anymore. The only viewers I have on you is myself and Aronaut. The only moderators is Silicon and your stream element.
Thank you, Silicon. I don't know why I don't have you guys. I am actually going to fix that.
I've got two viewers on mine, Jaded Rock and Space Viking. I'm assuming Viking, that's you.
That is, yeah.
I had Jaded Rock followed me 14 days ago.
hey, they apparently like what we're doing.
Hey, they follow me and now they're watching Kadali. Hell yeah. I've had a few people pop in on TikTok. 3 people watching.
I've only got one continual viewer, and we can all take a guess as to who that is.
Okay,
Get it out.
type something in
Use
chat.
Big boy words.
Type something in chat. I think make it easier that way. Cause yeah.
Okay. I forgot you could mod me through chat. Kadali, behave yourself. Behave yourself.
Nope.
Anyway, but anyway, so to get kind of more so on topic. So the reason why I just say like improve is there's an old adage, and I forget what it is, but it's basically any metric that is tracked can be improved upon. And so if you just it can be to anything as long as if you put it onto a spreadsheet, onto a Google Doc, onto anything, and you plot point and do plot points, you will probably end up getting better. Hey, I'm finally modded. Alright.
Yeah.
And
Don't let
so
the power go to your head.
oh no. Anyway, and so it's just like a lot of people don't necessarily understand the power that they can have, because the human body does like the dopamine hits of, big number go up or some improvement of some measured metric. And so it's truly better to do just to put on a sheet of paper, that's open, that's out, and you look on from time to time. Put it on a whiteboard, that's hung on your wall. Put it, somewhere to where you'll see it. There's a little adage: out of what is that? It's out of sight, out of mind. So if you have like a closed book with that kind of information, unless you go to the gym with that little book and write down, your metrics and use that, religiously,
Right.
you're gonna forget about it. You're gonna forget. It's, oh, I have to go to the gym, or hey, I'm supposed to do, XYZ exercise. And so it's like if you have something open, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's something I want to do, and then you'll just naturally, want to do it. Or if you're really motivated, and you have to be, fit it within your day again if you've, kind of fallen off. Because a lot of what's up,
Just having a target that you can see and work towards.
right? And that's ultimately the important thing.
I'll have to be starting back up here because my injuries finally got to a point I can deal it again.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, just because you have a setback doesn't mean you're losing progress. It's
Right.
you're literally just re-exercising with a debilitating injury, or some sort of debuff.
Well, that's
Which doesn't
exactly
mean
it.
that you
Right?
can't
I have
be
to
more
heal out,
predictable.
but I can get back on the horse now.
One at a time,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Sorry.
That's actually a good idea.
If we all talk over each other, it is nothing but anarchy and madness.
Chaos.
Yes,
We
that's
go
it.
for it.
All right,
And no
Steven,
one
you have the
talks.
floor. I said, Steven, you have the floor. Anyway, Nuke, go ahead. There's.
Oh yeah, I was just saying, like, you get injured, you gotta heal out, but that doesn't mean you quit. You're just, you just gotta get back on the horse. Fun part
Right.
though is gonna be getting back into doing the walking.
Yeah, well, it's walking. So one of the tricks is the walking is literally just putting your shit like around the house and start making that your routine. So like, putting your phone with an alarm like across the room.
Just walking, not just like staying around. I've got that covered. It's the rebuilding things again.
Yeah, that's
better.
fair.
Yeah, rally or cando.
See, that's why this gets changed
So.
so much. One, ADHD. Two, I have to every now and then, basically every season change up my room so I'm not getting complacent with where everything is and actually force myself to get up, to actually get dressed, turn off my phone, just general stuff in the morning. Because if it all stays the same, I know exactly when I need to get up to barely make it into work on time.
Yeah.
If I change it up, then I go, okay, shit, I have to wake up a little bit earlier so I can get my clothes on, make sure all my stuff is further away from my bed to force myself to get out of bed. Yeah.
Right. I'm the same way. As long as I get out of bed by 12:15 in the afternoon, I can get the dog out, I can get showered, I can get dressed, I can get my lunch and my breakfast done. And as long as I leave the apartment by 1:15, I can get to work with a little bit of extra time.
Yeah, and for me, like, what helps me with like my routines is that it's like I have pretty good like free time because like I play video games fairly often, and but like I'll incorporate exercise into that. But if I have to make if I have to make an appointment or so on and so forth, I literally just get ready an hour beforehand. Because in that hour, something's gonna happen, or I'm gonna be, hamster brained and forget something, and then that's enough time to get back, say, hey, that's not what I'm doing right now. We're doing this, and get back on track, finish, and then do whatever I needed to do, whether it be, getting ready to travel or go somewhere. It's always
Right.
usually an hour before I have to be there, or because I live in the middle of nowhere, it takes me usually an hour to get anywhere of any locale of importance. and so it's about an hour of travel time. So it's like if I have an hour of routine and then an hour of travel time, that's pretty well to kind of get me get me where I need to go. But then not only that is on my true like downtime, whenever I'm having coffee, no appointments, for the day. Like I said in the last podcast, I will literally sit there and meditate, and like so it'll look like leaves on the stream kind of meditation, and that helps me tremendously. And I do it for between 10 minutes and sometimes I do 40 minutes. It's very rare, but I sometimes do 40 minutes, and that's what I recommend everybody. It's something you can look into Google, leaves on a stream, and just like chill out, and it's very helpful. It's a mindfulness exercise that makes your mind a lot quieter and more concentrated, so you can actually think and get things done easier without going off a million times, in 5 minutes.
Does anyone have any conspiracies?
I don't think we should go down that rabbit hole.
Oh, we usually do. I have a good one.
Corner.
I will get a helmet soon. So what's funny is so the LA riots are are kind of going on, and everybody's treating it as like the illegal immigrants are being deported, and they're acting as if they're doing nothing wrong, whereas coming into a country illegally is a crime in of itself, worth deporting over. And so it's just like I'm pretty sure it's the way to kind of mitigate a kind of a class war, to where the powers that be, so like the powers that be, George Soros, BlackRock, State Street, yada 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 yada, and pretty much bribe their way for an army. And I think that ICE is stopping them in their tracks from doing that.
Interesting.
Because I mean, there are already a lot of illegal immigrants are getting a lot of benefits, free phone, free rent, yada yada yada, free food in some cases. And so, what is stopping them from saying, "Hey, to keep on getting all this shit, make a ruckus"? And that's very concerning to me. That is a real possibility. It may be far fetched, but it is a possibility. And the correlating evidence that I have for that is that the riots so far in LA have been funded. So basically, supplies in pickup trucks have arrived, um, and the contents of those pickup trucks have been distributed amongst the rioters. So there's something very funky going on that no one right now has the heads or tails of. And I hope I'm wrong, but I can only speculate that that may be a direction that's worth exploring, at least mentally.
That is interesting.
So I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but it looks like my Twitch is frozen.
No, your Twitch for me is fine, but you're in 480. Yeah, 480p land.
Yeah, on my open browser, I've just got the little spinning circle, and it's frozen on mine.
Yeah, it's still transmitting.
Fear not, we have good video.
Okay, cool.
No, no, you're fine. I pretty much done anyway. Horse guy from hell.
As conspiracies go, that's a new one for me.
Yeah, I'm very keep ear to the ground as much as I can. I'm not perfect, but it's just yet another thing to keep me entertained. That is current events.
I know he's not
Unfortunately
here.
For me, the news cycle has been dominated by other stuff, non-riot
Likewise.
protest
Well,
stuff.
Well, that's also kind of a bait and switch of the mainstream media. They want so it's they use a something called a media smokescreen to where if
Yeah.
something important is going on, they'll go ahead and switch coverage into another thing that may be like celebrity gossip based or so on and so forth. Just not really matters a whole lot rather than the original article that they want to or the original subject they want to cover up. So
Right.
they'll hide it through a smoke screen. Yeah, wagging the dog. Yeah, it's diabolical. It's just like this is shit people
Like
need
here,
to know.
watch
Not
TikTok. You can ride a unicycle instead of watching the LA protests.
See,
yeah. It's
honestly,
like, oops. Go ahead, Kendo.
that's why I like TikTok, is because I get all the info. Granted, I haven't heard anything from the California in a bit, but
Yeah, I haven't. Ever since the whole Iran thing started, I haven't seen anything from protests.
I've seen some Iran stuff.
I
I'm still
imagine they'll
getting the
probably change
Ukraine.
here the next week
Well,
because the last thing I had heard was that people had wanted to start another protest on July 4th for another No Kings Day.
So one of the reasons why the media changed from Iran it is big, but it's not necessarily as important, or at least it shouldn't be as important because it's not going to affect your average citizens' lives. That some facility in Iran is just gone. It's just a pile of
Right.
dirt. But for the citizens in LA, you want as much coverage on that as possible because they're shutting down streets. They're doing this thing. They're doing X thing. It's like, well, it's much better to locally to cover the riots rather than watching somewhere literally across the globe. Um, but it's another instance of wagging the dog. The reason why they covered Iran so heavily within the last 3 or 4 days is because the immigration agency is actually being very successful in deporting individuals. They usually get a between 5 and 25 people per car that's being used to smuggle people in they're getting intercepted and they're getting more people to deport. They're being extremely successful and they're cracking down on all that. That's the reason why they don't want to cover their success. They want to cover, oh, they're getting harmed, they're getting pushed back, they're getting this, they're getting that. And one of the reasons why they're successful is because the Marines are down there and they're not playing. Like, they're keeping it at bay, but I mean, they're being like it can't be sustained, or at least a rebellion can't be sustained because they're not getting paid to keep the rebellion, whereas the cops and the Marines and everything they're literally actively being paid. Like that is their job to quell the peace. So like or to keep the peace. It's like
All the peace.
sorry, yeah, wrong word.
Well, the problem with that is that, active duty armed forces technically aren't allowed to be used in that manner.
And they're
On the problem,
reservists.
Can't do that.
The Marines that there are reservists.
Well, either way, it's a violation of posse comitatus.
They can only, as long as they're there defending federal property
Which is what
and
they're
not
doing.
acting as frontline protester defense, they're legal.
Right, and
But
so what they're
are into the public areas, non-federal buildings, that's when it violates the posse comitatus.
Yes. And so what they've posted the Marines doing is protecting the court buildings and the immigration buildings,
Yeah.
and that's the only thing that they're able to do. But the fact that they're there frees up a lot of LAPD to actually be crowd control.
I think
Yeah,
that's
that
also
frees them up from protecting the federal buildings and allows them to be the front line.
but I think that's also a thing a lot of people forget is the military oath. They're supposed to protect the Constitution from foreign and domestic,
Right.
and they're more leaning on the domestic side with this than
Well, apparently I just lost TikTok live due to inactivity. What the fuck? I'm right here.
So here's what's really funny is the foreign and domestic. The intention of the law is to quell unlawful rebellions. Like in history, um, I can't remember which state, but it was in a state or a county in the Dixie Valley. Basically, while a bunch of men were off fighting World War II, they basically installed a very corrupt government, in a county that was basically just a mafia. And so when all the soldiers came back, it was like, oh, we're a bunch of killers, and we came back. We're not going to stand for this anymore. And so they dismantled the corrupt government, local corrupt government. But it's kind of the same thing to where it's like that's where the domestic part comes in. But with all these illegal aliens, they're to be regarded as enemy combatants because they could be, they could turn in a hurry. There just a couple days ago, there's a man after he was getting intercepted by ICE. He was weed whacking at the time, but he brandished the weed whacker like a weapon, and raised it and tried to get the immigration officer's face with the weed whacker. And that, unfortunately, the Constitution doesn't apply to people that are here illegally.
Well, I think it's been about that time. We may have not gotten into 10 and 7, but we did do a good job of talking about 6.
Yeah, I'll worry about 7 when the time comes.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
we're actually
yeah,
in 5.
yeah, but eventually, it's like looking the tent here to just kind of prepare to tell people ahead of time.
I've had
7.
I've had it pulled up on my
Oh yeah,
Yeah, Nando's had
So-
it on his
Yeah.
Switch.
Oh, my bad. But yeah, it's like the discrimination clause. I have a lot to say about that. It's more of do what I say, not as I do, because that's the one I struggle with the most.
The non-judgy.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I've definitely been, as of lately, I've been trying to be more accepting, but I definitely have an issue with people who what is it perpetuate no what is it they go yeah they perpetuate degenerate culture, or at least the degeneracy within society, which ultimately is that
And
society's
that is
downfall.
judging by actions.
But it is judging by actions. I have other parts that go into that I personally don't need to have, but they're very deep seated and deep rooted.
I guess that's the one tenet that's always come very easy to me.
Right. And so it's like one that's the one thing that as a community, as like a religious movement, it's like one person may have issues with one tenet. Everybody may not have issues with the same tenet, but have issues in other areas.
Right. So next month, next podcast, we cover 10 and 7. Thank you everyone who came by this podcast, whether it was live or post edit, which hopefully shall be done semi soon, not in 6 months. Hopefully that joke ages well and not well. We'll see you on the post edit. I have been Kadali Keyboard, your host. Don't forget to check out our link trees. Go to the Faith social medias if you want to learn more. Feel free to join the Discord where we record these live. Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Being
This
that
is the way.
this is the week before it, live. Everyone have
Yeah,
a good,
July as well.
4th of July.
Favorite holiday.
Happy throwing off King's Day.
And for those who aren't in the
USA.
States,
1776. Great Britain
200.
0.
This is also, what is it, next year? Next year's the 250th anniversary?
It was the 250th for the Army.
Yeah, I said next year is going to be the.
250th for the nation next year.
Oh, I'm so excited. That's going to be such a big
and for
deal.
those of you who aren't in the States, please fire off a couple of fireworks for us. Or
If legally
other
allowed.
or other things that go boom.
And if you're Britain, sorry, but get fucked.
Yeah, we'll toss some tea in the harbor for you. Keep it so you can't pronounce bottle of water because we throw the tea in the harbor.
But some dialects can pronounce bottle of water. It's just the one that matters can. Liverpool isn't a city. It's just Liverpool is the Detroit of the British Island.
All right. I'm going to stop my recording now.
Likewise.